You might summarise Kurt Cobain as this fascinating conflict between punk on one side and pop on the other.
There was a lot of safe music at the time, and bands like Nirvana suddenly coming onto mainstream TV was inviting people that didn't really give a monkey's about that sort of world. And Nirvana and a lot of the other bands that came on would often sort of sabotage their performances. I think I remember them on Top of the Pops playing Smells Like Teen Spirit, and he delivered the vocal delivery like he was Andrew Eldritch from Sisters of Mercy, like he kind of sang in this sort of almost like gothic growl. They were always pranking around. I think with Nirvana, there's something devilishly simple about their music that belies a really, really rich... obviously Kurt Cobain was a great songwriter. I don't think anyone could have just sat down and written about a girl, but it sounds really simple. It's got a very simple...
anyone who's never picked up a guitar before could almost instantly be taught to play that E minor to G chord verse. But it's quite a conspicuous piece of songwriting to be sat in that early sub-pop canon. You can see that Cobain was someone who was destined to operate at a completely different level from everyone else there. A genuinely elite class talent.
Kurt Cobain used to do amazing mixtapes and stuff. He was a bit of a connoisseur when it came to, his own taste in music, and he was a big fan of a band called the Vaselines, and you can hear him being influenced by some of the kind of melodic music that he liked. I think there was a kind of almost a classical songwriter in there. It's a shame really when you think about Cobain, Cornell, Lanigan, that they're no longer with us, but with Cobain in particular, you do feel like you're a bit robbed of later gems that would have come out. He would have carried on being a fantastic songwriter, I think.
But again, there's this conflict between someone wanting to be simultaneously poppy and punky. At Sub Pop, they recorded with Jack Endino, a punk guy, a guy perfect for recording Babes in Toyland, Mudhoney, Tad, a guy who focuses on recording rather than post-production. Then they signed to the major label and they record Nevermind with Bruce Vig, who's all about double tracks and elaborate overdubs. And it's ridiculously successful, but Cobain hates it.
Nevermind, I think we have to say that at the time when Nevermind came out, everybody killed that album. They played it all the way through. You knew every song. It was, it's a fantastic record, but it was like eating 20 Cadbury cream eggs in a row after the 20th time. You never want to see a Cadbury's cream egg again, Again,
there's a reaction in Cobain in wanting to go back and get someone punky again, like Steve Albini, where the sound is all about the recording again.
When they recorded Heart Shaped Box, I think was the lead single off of In Utero, he did get another engineer to overdub stuff. They did put them like Nevermind-ish sort of touches on it, and Steve Albini was really pissed off about that. You hire me.
Well, Steve Albini has an ethic where he doesn't take a percentage like other producers, just a flat fee. But he does this on the precondition that the band pledge not to mess with the philosophy involved, which is putting all the work into capturing the moment of recording. He'll test a bunch of locations and then he'll pick up space with certain acoustics. He'll set up numerous microphones in carefully calculated places, and then once the music's in the can, that's it. He doesn't mess with it. Kurt Cobain, however, is not happy. He takes the tapes and begins elaborate overdubs. So it was sort of a vicious circle with him, and it must have been frustrating, that impossible search to find the ideal balance.
When I look back now though, and you look at that period of time, I feel like that's who Kurt Cobain was. He was somebody that was, even though he wanted to grab this sort of punk ideal, he was probably a perfectionist in many ways. He was constantly searching for something, probably the unattainable sound. And you and I, particularly you when you were at art college, that is kind of the case sometimes. Whatever you do, you're not satisfied with it, and then when you finish something, you're on to the next thing. So the thing you just delivered is the last thing you want to really think about. So I think that a lot about musicians, when they go into their studio, they record their album, they're probably sick of the songs by that stage, then they've got to go and tour it for another year and a half. And I reckon it creates this constant layer of artistic frustration. And I think when you're dealing with producers, and I imagine like the Steve Albinis, the Butch Viggs and the Jack Endinos are people that probably seen a lot of crying artists in their time that they've had to go and calm down. It's okay, mate, it sounds okay, you know what I mean? Like I thought it will be okay, don't worry about it. But so I imagine that a lot of that went on with Cobain. I imagine the rest of the band kicking around in the background whilst Cobain was fussing over the tiniest of detail. But we wouldn't have all this music if it wasn't for the Cobains and the Lanigans and the Cornells being like that, that's the way it is.
Absolutely. Of course, we saw them live. I remember them at the Astoria, a venue sadly no longer with us. There was also the Reading Festival. Again, festivals are not the best place to see a band. People are milling about throughout the day with varying levels of interest or knowledge about who's on stage. And there was that little crowd for Nirvana, wasn't there? But the following year, there were thousands of people going absolutely crazy for them, and we couldn't get anywhere near the stage. They were like little specks in the distance. It really was insane how quickly their popularity exponentially snowballed like that.